Three guys who combined to play 15 seasons in the National Football League trenches. Well, two guys. And Mackey, who didn't do shit. This is the O-Line Committee.
Rise and shine, boys. Rise and grind here early on a Monday. Jay back from a week at the Senior Bowl. Booney training, running kids around. Super Bowl week, gentlemen. It is Super Bowl week.
Are you still getting beat up by the Instapot, or are we got a fairly good handle on that?
I think we've got we're excited to cook some ground turkey chili tonight.
Ooh.
Very exciting.
Fancy.
So here's what I did. Very big weekend for old Macadac. I went to the local grocery store here, Cub Foods in the Twin Cities, on Saturday with a cookbook that I enjoy, an Instapot cookbook. And in the parking lot, I flipped through the pages. I found the recipe that I wanted. I wrote down the ingredients like an adult. I went in, purchased them, and now I'm cooking food. Look, it's almost 40 years old and cooking dinner on a regular basis.
Hey,
look at you.
Is it right now? Is it cooking in the Instapot?
It's I would say it's a combination of Instapot, slow cooker, probably 50-50. 50-50 with both.
Got it. All right.
So if you guys have any great tips to elevate me to the next level, you let me know.
You're not a real person. Anyways, what were you saying about Super Bowl week?
That it exists and it's here.
I cannot wait.
It waits for no one.
It waits for no one. And it's down in New Orleans. Wowza.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. So let's do this. We'll do mics. We got things from the hiring world that we kind of touched on, some things we didn't last week. Let's get our Super Bowl preview stuff in. Let's talk about some of the new hires. Let's get to some dumb football questions. I'm going to throw the first mic out here, and it's Alex. Alex, you are my first mic because you played in a Super Bowl with the 49ers against the Ravens, and I would love to give you the floor here to share with the audience, what the hell is this like? What is it like for players? You got the 2 weeks of prep. It's a football game, and you've played in a bajillion football games, but it's also the biggest game of most of your lives.
Yeah.
So what is this experience like for the dudes who are down there in New Orleans here this week?
It was insane. Honestly, yesterday, I think they all got in. Yesterday night, we got in, and we all went to Drago's, which is one of the greatest restaurants you can have down there. And we all just ate a ton of oysters and chilled. And then I remember the worst part about it was last week. Because you're kind of in it, but you're kind of not, and everyone's kind of trying to be cool, and you're just like, we're going to the Super Bowl, right? And you have a whole week to sit there and think about it, and everyone's like, shh, calm down. You're like, no, I can't. I'm going to the Super Bowl. And so you're trying to like practice and get serious. But this week was interesting because when you go down there, you have to practice at the Saints facility. And so their EQ is there. And it was weird because when we went, Goody was with us, and Goody was the center when they won the Super Bowl there. So he knew everybody. And so it was super awkward for us. But it was awesome because you got to see their facility. We got to eat their lunch. We got to be having their meeting rooms. We got to go into their indoor, and then we saw their outdoor. And then some of the guys walked by us, and they were like, we don't use the indoor enough. I was like, wait, what? They were like, just letting you know, we don't use it enough. And I was like, what is he talking about? Good. He's like, oh, yeah, man, we practice out here every day. Like, dudes be passing out all the time. And I was like, man, this is really cool. It's cool because you get to see it from their lens kind of, and how they eat lunch, what their EQ room looks like, all that kind of stuff. But it really is hard because all week we were kind of on Bourbon Street, and so it's really loud. And not only is it really loud, but everyone's there for the Super Bowl, and everybody knows why you're there. And it's kind of a mess during the week because you can't really do anything because everyone's just going to hound the hell out of you to try and get autographs, or do you know where Frank is? Do you know where Vernon is? Do you know where Cap is? Like, you were just like, no, I don't. Leave me alone. Go away. But I'll tell you what, when you go into the game, they tell you like, hey, it's more of a production than a game. Get ready. It really was. Like, you walk out there and there's Denzel Washington. And then there's, I think at the time Muhammad Ali was there, and like, it was like, it's a who's who Jay-Z. You're like, this is insane. They're coming to watch us. Me. Like, you get so excited before the game. And then you have to go in before the game, and they're like, okay, now everybody calm down because we'll be out another 40 minutes. You're like, what the fuck? So then you go out. We played. It was awesome, right? The worst part of the game was halftime. Because when you go in, they're like, get comfortable. It's going to be a minute. And so the coach is going over what he's going over. And normally in season, you have what, Jay, like 5 minutes to go over everything?
I mean, it's like It's like a 12-minute halftime. You get in, get a PB&J, go over something, you turn around, and you're right back out on the field.
No, this one was 45 minutes. And I remember sitting there eating several PB&Js and having the coach be like, okay, and let's go over this again, and let's go over this again. And you're like, oh, my God, what are we doing? It was not awesome to lose, but it was awesome to be a part of it and to play against an amazing defense like we did. We played against the Ravens defense. Ray Lewis's last game, we all heard about it. Haloti Nada, T-Sizzle. Like, dude, they had everybody out there. It was so fun. And to almost come back and win was cool, but to lose was, man, it was heartbreaking because you see now why everyone's like, it's so hard to push the rock up the hill because by the time you came back the next year, we were still so dead. We were all just like, God, I'm just so tired. I don't know what it is. I can't do anything to feel better. And it was just, and now they're like, who's ready? And you're like, okay, here we go. But, Super Bowl, awesome, great time. The Yorks were awesome family. I'd totally do it again.
Talk to me about the lights going out.
Dude, it was crazy.
What was that like?
I was walking back to the huddle, and the lights went out, and in my mind, I was like, oh, my God, you blacked out. You're an idiot. And I was like, what's going on? Here's the crazy part. The minute that the emergency lights kicked on, the FBI was on the field. And we were like, what is going on? Everyone's got, like, kind of reaching for their gun. Like, they don't know what's going on, and they're like, this is not a drill. And we're like, well, clearly, like, what is going on? And they're like, dude, listen, go back to your sidelines for a little bit. So then we had to sit on the sidelines for like 20 minutes. And they're like, okay, let's get stretched out. And so the guys are walking around and they're looking in the rafters. And one guy's like, I think it's up there. Yeah, it's for sure up there. Finally, like 20 minutes later, they come back. They're like, we definitely think it was terrorist play, but we think it's contained. So we're going to continue the game. And we were like, should we be concerned? And they were like, no. We're good. We're all good. We're all good, people. We're all good. I was like, dude, seriously. And it was crazy because the minutes the light kicked on and we went back at it, it was third down for us. And I don't think we ended up making it. And I remember thinking, like, this is some bullshit. We would have had that third down had the lights not gone off. Like, I totally would. You totally forgot that your life may have been in danger. And you're like, seriously, 20 minutes in between second and third down. That's why we didn't convert on that
so
one.
they legit, like, the word trickled into the sideline that they were worried about a security threat.
Oh, absolutely, dude. The lights went out at the Super Bowl. They weren't like, oh, somebody flipped a switch. They were like, something big has happened. You need to go to your sidelines now. And we were like, seriously,
not big enough to send you to the locker room.
No, and we started asking, like, should we go? Right. Should we get our families and go to the locker room? They were like, don't worry about your families. If anything, we want you to go to the locker room. We were like, wait, what?
Actually, we might need you guys to fight some bad guys. So if everyone over 300 pounds could gather over
go to
here,
the locker room, get a gun. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Dude, it was great. Just sitting on the field, like the O-line was just sitting in a big circle, and we were all like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, I remember watching it. Like, they didn't know what to talk about, right? They were just kind of like panning back and forth. They'd be like, well, we're back here in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and the lights are still out. So let's take a look here and look. And they like pan to a random individual who's like doing high knees in the dark. Like
that was definitely me. Here's my biggest thing. How come they never came out and said what it was?
Probably because it was some type of issue, and they just were like, "Oh, there's an electrical problem," because there's no need to raise panic.
I kind of want to know
Super Bowl.
I kind of want to know what it was. I was curious.
I feel like there has to have been follow-up stories on it, right?
There wasn't. We as the Niners tried to follow it. We were like, everybody's like, did you hear anything about it? And it was like,
well,
nothing.
obviously, because I personally think there's a reason you guys lost, but I know you weren't going to say that. I think that like that kind of like shifted the whole momentum and for not your favor once the lights came back on. So,
what was the score when the lights went off?
You
guys are facing like a big third down.
They were beating us, and then when the lights went off and came back on, we started coming back, but they destroyed us because. And I've never really talked about this, but there was a play that we ran right before the 2-minute warning, and it was actually right after the 2-minute warning, and it was 97 quarterback power, and I pulled around, and Joe and Mike had like the greatest deuce ever on Haloti, and I completely moved him to the other side, and it was me and Ray, and we meet in the hole, and just as I meet in the hole, we called a timeout, and we were on the 4-yard line. It was me, Ray, and Cap all together. And Cap was like, dude, we were about to win it. I was like, I know. And the problem was one of our guys didn't get the play. And so he was asking somebody what to do. And so we had to wait a second. And so I had to wait to slap Goody. And by the time I slapped him, we tried to go, and Harbaugh called a timeout. And then we threw the ball 4 times after that to lose the game.
Wow, dude.
Terrible. We finished the game with a Q8. You know you're desperate when.
I've always wondered.
What year was that?
2011.
2011.
12.
It was the 11 season or the 12 season?
Super Bowl.
12. Okay.
11 season, 12 season.
Yeah, it was
I've always
terrible,
wondered,
dude.
like, you see these celebrations, the AFC Championship Game, NFC Championship Game, and it's this life accomplishment, and the confetti's falling, and you're getting the Lamar Hunt Trophy in the AFC, whatever, and then now there's 2 weeks to ramp up to an even bigger game and life moment. Is there any enjoyment in getting there but not winning? Like, do you look back with deep regret, or is it like, that was pretty badass? We went to the Super Bowl.
There was a few things in the game I could have changed. That play where we called a timeout being one of them, it was my decision to tell the person what to do. And looking back on it, I fucking hate myself for it so much. Like, you have no idea. When people talk about this game, I sometimes start to cry because I'm like, man, I really was the reason we had to call a timeout. That was fucking stupid. And I was like, I should have just let him go. And I should have just ran the play. And everything would have probably been fine. But the problem is the word probably in the O-line room never ends well. And had I not said something would have happened. We would have been tackled for a loss, and it would have been worse. So, I mean, honestly, that game we had. And I remember vividly, we were blocking a Act 4. And I was coming down to the left. And as I was coming down, the ball shot right over my head. And I was like, look at that piss missile. I was so excited. And I saw Randy jump, and it went over his hands and into, I think it might have been Ed Reed, caught it. And I saw it vividly. And in that moment, everybody was like so deflated. It was like, oh, God, what are we doing? And we all tried to like make this tackle. I think we ended up getting called for a clothesline or a illegal horse collar. Like, it was a mess. We had so many mistakes that game that we didn't deserve.
How do you
to
think
win.
they had horse collars back then, dude? They're like,
No,
get them on the ground.
No,
right?
I'm
Like,
almost
you could
positive
just
a
like
fight.
rip dudes down.
Yeah, a fight broke out afterwards because I remember he went down and I was like, shit, I should get ready for a fight. Here it comes. Yeah, no, dude, I'll tell you what. It's like I said, you can't explain what the atmosphere is like because there's just so many people there that you're like, this is insane. This is so fun.
Well,
it's not even a football game.
So in 2017, when the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis, I went, right? Because we get, as players, you get tickets every year.
Yep.
Right? So you get face value tickets every year. And so I was talking with Emma when we lost the NFC Championship game. I was like, we're already here. We have a house, right? Because we had bought the extra month of rent because of being in the playoffs. I was like, we have free lodging, essentially. We know people here. We can go to the parties. We can do the whole thing. Like, let's just do Super Bowl week because I don't know when we're going to get a chance to do it again. And you talk about the production, like the whole week for a fan's perspective is bananas.
Yeah.
Right? You've got the Maxim parties and you've got all these crazy parties going on. And like Boone said, crazy celebrities from all over the place. And you're running around. And then when you get to the actual game, like they have like an MC of the game that's there for strictly fan XP. Like, that's it. Like, they're out there, like, they're running on and off, and before the game, the players are out there for, like, 25 minutes waiting for the anthem to hit. And I can remember, as a fan, just sitting there going, man, I don't know how you stay focused as a player. Right? How you can just keep locked in when there's just shit happening everywhere, right? And then also halftime shows in person suck. They're not very good. Like, I think Mars was Justin Timberlake. And, like, you could just barely see. Obviously, we had nosebleeds, right? So you just see this little dot running around the field, and you're like, oh, these are way better at home.
Way better.
It's also like it's like rushed, and the acoustics probably suck inside the stadium.
Yeah, and then, like, as soon as they get done, like, right, it, like, boom, hit the camera, and then it's just like hustle and bustle. Like, people are sprinting on and off the field. Yeah, it's bananas.
Dude, the coolest part of the Super Bowl was they had the Hall of Fame inductees there for the next year. And Larry Allen was there, and he was on the sidelines, and he had obviously played for the Niners right before I got there. So most of the guys on the team knew him. And so they were like, Larry! And they were talking to him. And I remember I walked up, and I was like, Mr. Allen. He was like, yo, what up, young blood? And he, like, dapped me up, and I was like, oh, my God, I got to meet Larry Allen.
He touched me. He called me young blood.
Dude, the best part was they start painting the guys on the field, right? All the Hall of Famers have suits on. Larry comes, he's got a jumpsuit on. They're like, Larry Allen. He's kush. He hits them with the LA. He's like, yeah. Everybody else is like, hi, hello, thank you. Dude, it was so awesome. It was not awesome that we lost, though. That sucked.
Yeah, I pulled up the box score from that game. You guys fell behind 28-6 in the second half, and you cut it to 31-29
Yeah.
on let's see here, on Kaepernick's, and then you went for 2 to tie it with 9 minutes to go, missed the 2-point conversion, and then they kick a field goal with like 4 minutes left with Justin Tucker, who maybe is a Mike, I don't know, or not later on in the show. But gosh, man, that would have been one of the, me talking about 28-3, that would have been right there one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Dude, the knife in the heart was halftime. We kicked off to them, and Jacoby Jones ran it back 103 yards. I remember thinking at halftime, I was like, we got this. And then we don't got this.
Yeah, there he goes. He's gone.
He was such a great returner, man.
Such a great returner. Well, then they throw him a bomb later in the game, and 2 of our DBs take each other out.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Why can't they do that on the other defense? Golly.
Isn't that the crazy thing about, you've got 2 weeks to cover every possible angle through prep and watch every single split second of film, and it's David Tyree pinning a ball off his helmet,
right,
or it's just or Jacoby Jones decides to house a kickoff return 108 yards and puts the game basically out of reach, right? Like,
dude,
like one
totally
thing
changed.
happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too, and it's crazy how loud those stadiums get. Like, we had played in Seattle several times. We know what loud is. You got down there, that place was shaking. I was like, dude, I didn't even see that much purple. What is going on? And I think the problem is, it doesn't matter who's winning. When something big happens, everyone's going nuts.
Cheering.
And you're like, so they're not fans of anyone. I get how this is. All right,
it's kind of
cool.
like the London game, right?
Yes.
Like, no, you never
one.
know. You
Don't
never
even
know
get
when
me
they're
started.
like third down, everyone's getting super loud. You're like, everyone shut up.
Yeah,
right? Like, be quiet.
But then the other third down on the other side, they're still loud, and you're like, yeah, how's it feel?
Like,
how's
okay,
it feel?
yeah,
idiots?
I get it. This is just fans. They
just wanna be
These are just
loud.
rich people. These aren't actual fans.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's so many. One more thing on, Jay, your experience going to the Minnesota Super Bowl, not to like pick at scabs, but man, that you guys were looking to become the first ever team to play a home game, like a home stadium game, and to then have to watch the Eagles walk in.
That one sucked. Like that, I mean, realizing we were literally one game away from playing a home Super Bowl game, right? Like, I couldn't imagine what that place would have been like.
Vikings fans would have picked up all the secondary market tickets.
They would have mortgaged their homes. They would have sold their cars.
It would have been
like,
all
that
purple.
place would have been 100% purple. And I hate even like doing the kind of like Boone says, but like looking back on it, like our defense was built to beat the shit out of Tom Brady, right? That defense was a non-mobile quarterback, Everson Griffin, Brian Robinson, Daniil Hunter, Tom Johnson, Linval Joseph, like prime Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, like with Harrison in the blitz package. I don't know, dude. I think we would have had a really good shot in that Super Bowl. Obviously, Nick Foles and them had something rolling like crazy. Big Dick Nick just was figuring his life out and beat the shit out of us in the NFC Championship game. But yeah, that one sucked being there. Like, dude, we were right there. Like, we were right freaking there.
You know what sucks is, you're right. You could have been the first team to do it, but you ended up letting Tom be the first team to take the first team to do it. Yeah. Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. God.
So, someone hit us with, let's do some Super Bowl preview. Give me at least like one or two takes in the form of mics for the upcoming game itself. You guys have been had a week to think on it now.
Yeah, you know, looking on it, I truly believe that this game is going to come down to Jalen Hurts, right? I mean, you look at what Spags' defense is going to do and the package he's going to put together to try and wrangle Saquon Barkley, right? Because Spags is such a good D coordinator, and every single great D coordinator does one thing and one thing only. You make them one-dimensional, right? That is the one thing they focus on. How can we make this team one-dimensional? And obviously, usually it's, hey, let's stop the run game and make them pass it. But this has to be even more of a concerted effort of make Jalen Hurts beat us, right? He's shown glimpses of being great during the season. He had the concussion. I think it's taken him a while to get back into rhythm. They haven't asked him to do a whole lot because Saquon's popping off for 200 a game. But I do think that Spags is going to have a great answer for Saquon and put it on, hey, can Hurts carry the load time after time after time, not just for one or two drives, but can we stick with this plan and just bury it and say, hey, all game long, Saquon ain't beating us. We're going to see if Jalen Hurts for 4 quarters can lead them up and down the field and beat us. I think that's going to be a huge storyline early in the game of what they try and do to fluster Jalen Hurts.
I mean, honestly, you obviously know Spags is going to throw everything at this guy, right? Like, there's going to come from every which way, all different ways. Everything's coming. My question is, as long as we have a hot built in here, don't we seem okay? Don't we seem okay, Jay? Like, I feel like this is the perfect team to go out and beat the KC Chiefs, right? We're going to run with Saquon as long as we can, and then the minute we see it starting to come, we're just going to throw it out to the outside as quick as possible. We have some of the fastest guys out there, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Dude, there are so many playmakers that can get the ball and make plays. I wonder if Spags goes in here more cautionary, more like, this is the one offensive line that obviously everyone's going to be healthy. And that was probably my other mic, is I'm an idiot because I started thinking to myself, do you think Cam Jurgens is going to play? And then I was like, wait a minute, it's the Super Bowl. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, and he came back in.
Yeah, but then Landon went out.
My bigger question is Landon Dickerson.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the Super Bowl.
Going to be able to play?
It's the Super Bowl. He's playing. There's no question, right?
There's a lot of drugs.
He'll start.
There's a lot of drugs.
He'll start.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff they can give you. But then you start talking about, like, hey, if Spags does start throwing blitzes at these guys, they are one of the best to pick it up. Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson on the outside. They love to just go 5-0 all day. At the same time, what's going to stop Spags from blitzing? I guess I'm just so far down this rabbit hole that I'm like, is he going to blitz him too much? Is he not going to blitz him at all? Like, they have the run game. What if they just toss the ball outside?
See, I think they're going to line up majority in first and second down in a 5-man front.
Oh, you do?
I do. I think they're gonna line up, and it's gonna either be jam. It might be a little bit of Cub, right? They might throw some Bear in there just to mix the bodies, right? You might see, hey, 3 down linemen and Bolton and Leo Chanel in there, right? But just to mix up the looks. It is scary
because if I cut your defense.
For sure. There's a lot of issues there. However, this is a very good secondary. Yeah. Right? So they're trying to rely on, hey, Trent McDuffie, you're going to go man coverage on A.J. Brown, right? We're going to line all you guys up, and you're going to go man coverage. And, again, that's where I think it's like, hey, if these receivers can create separation, can Jalen Hurts throw into tight windows, and then can we have a 5-man line of scrimmage or whatever it might be? You know, I just think he's going to mix up the looks because I don't know why teams do it, but I watch it all year long. When you line up in 4-down personnel and sub defense in 4-2 packages, the Eagles just run the ball up your ass, man. Like they literally just, we're going to double team on the backside. We'll get a free runner up to the linebacker. Saquon Barkley has 2,000 yards before contact this year, right? You have to do something different, right? You got to do something. So I think you try and make one-on-one blocks, single blocks, and say, all right, someone win your one-on-one matchup, and then have a safety lurking down underneath and risk the big shot. But I don't know. I just can't. You can't line up in 4-2 against these guys and just expect Mike Purnell or Chris Jones to just win all the time. I mean, because again, you just double. You got to do double Chris, and then what? So I don't know. I'm with you. I'm super fascinated. I'll be watching like a hawk those first couple series. Like, what is the game plan here, Mr. Spags?
I know, dude. I love the 5 down. Like instantly, my mind was like, that could be dangerous, but you're right. And nobody really realizes that is that when you're playing a 5-down line on the first and second down, it's because you're taking all the double teams away and you're forcing everybody to just single block everything. And you're like, hey, not the majority, but like the chances that we win at least one of these is really good, which is just going to cause complete chaos across the board. The problem is, if it were us playing, we would have had a bear check immediately. Hey, the minute they go to bear, it's G lead. It is G lead, and everyone's crashing down, and we have one guy going out. But I do like the fact about talking about one of the things that I think is going to play into the Eagles' favor is when they do run the ball, when they do have their safeties trying to tackle Saquon. He is such a bruising back at times. And number one, you have to be able to get on him. But number two, he's going to be so fired up. He's going to be running through everything that the more hits you can get on him, on McDuffie and Reid and all those guys, it's going to start to slow them down. So the run game plays a huge factor in the Eagles game. But you're right. Jalen Hurts is going to be the deciding factor. We know Saquon's great. We know the offensive line's great. We know the guys on the outside are great. Can you throw in tight windows under duress? Because he's going to put you under pressure. And at the same time, when he does put you under pressure, do you sit there for 9 seconds and take that sack? And I think a lot of that is because those are 2-man routes. So now all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's just open this up a little bit, right? Let's get some more spacing. Let's get more dudes out there. What else does that do? It declares their intentions. The minute you see 8 up, it's because we're in a 2x2. Mm-hmm. If you just throw everybody way out there in a 3x1 or a 1x, it's like, what do you want to do? Show me what you want. I'll be curious to see how that plays into their factor too.
I'd also be shocked if they don't have a really good screen early in the game.
Oh yeah, to show them.
I think like the first 3rd and 7, first 3rd and 8, they read blitz by Spags, having just a quick halfback screen or a tight end screen, something to just make them think about, hey, our screen game is here and we have it practiced, so blitz at your own risk. Right, but this is the problem with 2 weeks, right? I've been thinking about every little avenue,
It's crazy,
right?
yeah.
And this is how my brain has been thinking, like, okay, like if Spags does this, how would he counter, right? And I haven't even talked about the Chiefs yet. This is all just how do the Eagles score on the Chiefs, right? Okay, super aggressive defense. Got to get blitz games. I watched that game last week. Okay, we have to have our empty protection checks completely on point this week.
Completely on.
That's what screwed up Josh Allen last week. They brought 4 weak when he should have been sliding weak. He slid him strong, and they beat him in the face, right? So many things that you got to go through and watch. And I think there's 63 3rd and 6 plus blitzes from Spags this week. I guarantee you they're watching every single one. They've gone through, and they have an answer for empty. They have an answer for 7-man and 6-man. All the way through here, because you just never know. But what Spags does so great at is the blitz of the week, right? He's going to have some type of maybe even 2 or 3 that you haven't seen on tape all year long that he's going to try and get you with early. It's going to be,
you know what it's going to be?
So much fun.
It's going to be like a double safety blitz through the tackle box.
And they're going to drop. They're going to drop. And like Mike Pinnell's going to be standing in the hook curl right over the top, right?
Dude, it's going to be something you haven't seen since 1998. You're going to be like, what the hell is this? But it's going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to get them. And that's what's going to be so hard about it.
I feel like I have some questions about the other side of the ball, like the Chiefs offense versus Eagles defense. But just real quick, because Jay, you were at the Senior Bowl last week. I feel like you deserve at least a couple minutes to give your take, add your take to the pile of the 4th and 5 play where Josh Allen, they miss ID at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you missed it. Sorry, buddy.
Josh somehow gets rid of the ball anyways, and then tight end drops the pass, and
Kincaid,
punt.
Here we are.
Dropped the punt.
Kincaid dropped the punt. Yeah.
Your team. Where's that sweatshirt?
Yeah. It's upstairs. Well, boys, I have to hang a Kansas City banner.
I don't know why
for the next year.
Only if they win, or because they beat the Bills? It's because they beat the Bills.
It was for the AFC Championship.
Why is it not up right now? I feel like this is a violation.
I told him I wasn't buying it myself.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I don't really know what caused Josh to go left instead of right there in that moment, right? And I'm sure Booney explained it. Base rule when you're 5-man is you always want to slide weak, right? Put the hots to the passing strength so that Josh has answers into his face. He slid him strong. Ended up, I think, 4 blocked 2, right? And then you had Spencer Brown on the backside that didn't squeeze it on his big duel where he had to block inside out. And so he had 2 free runners coming right at him from the corner, and I believe was the linebacker or safety coming off the right side. But the fact that Josh, A, found Dalton Kincaid, and B, got him a catchable ball, fucking miracle. Right? I mean, that in itself is a miracle that he found him while running for his life and then had the arm strength and natural ability to get it to him. And like you said at the beginning of the show, Mackey, right? It's Jacoby Brissett going 108. It's David Tyree pinning it on his helmet. That's that play, right? That's the play that dun 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 dun, right? NFL films, like, and it shows Dalton Kincaid catching the punt. And they go on to go and win the game. Like, that's the type of plays you have to have in those type of moments in order to win those big games. Didn't happen, right? And hats off to the Chiefs for making it not happen. But, man, I was just so bummed because that was like the 3 minutes. Here we go, Josh Allen, let's go do our thing. And
yeah, I mean, it was all the things that happened, and there's any number of like 8 different things. But in the end, 3:30 left, 3 timeouts. Here we go.
You got to do it.
This is your shot, man.
This is your chance. You have everything you want right here, and this is what everyone's been waiting for. Like, if
have you guys been reading that he had a broken hand?
Who?
Josh.
Like a
throwing hand.
He broke his throwing hand on the 2-point conversion right before halftime. Apparently, he played the entire second half with a broken right hand.
So he would have been playing the Super Bowl also against that Eagles defense with a broken hand.
Which I think would have been worse because you get broken like a couple weeks versus like in the moment of like
2 weeks.
This is just gonna suck for the rest of the game. But like he could have had a broken hand against the Eagles.
Dude, that's crazy, man.
Tough as shit.
Yeah, I mean, so Spags was saving something for the end of that game, and
he's gonna be saving something for this week.
Well, but then on the other side, Andy Reid was doing an interview earlier this week. I think it was on Cowherd. Pretty sure it was on Cowherd. And he said, Mike Holmgren used to teach me when I coached for Mike with the Packers back in the 90s, always save a little something in your offensive playbook. Always save a little something for later in the season. And so he goes into all these games, and there's always, like, you never really know exactly what they're going to do in a big third or fourth down. It could be, I mean, think about last year. They change a little route concept here. This guy in motion swings back around
the orbit
route. Like, could be a little twist on a route on a play they run 100 times. Could be a brand new play altogether. And that's another wild card here, is that you've got a defensive coordinator and an offensive head coach that always save a little something, and you can't really prepare or guess what it's going to be, I feel like.
And not only that, but their experience is unparalleled. Like the amount of games that they've played in, the amount of big games that they've played in.
Super Bowls.
Dude, this is nothing to them. This is just another day. They're like, hey, remember that blitz from 12 years ago? We should try it. We should do it. Should we? We should. Let's do it. Let's do it. Like, and I don't know. We talked about it last week. To blitz your corner is risky. I mean, risky. You are sending a guy who has nothing to do with tackling, wants nothing to do with hitting anyone, just wants to catch the ball and run it the other way. And you send him on a blitz on what could be the last play of the game on a 4th and 5. Dude's balls are huge. Like, I'm not kidding you. Dick is huge. When I saw the corner blitz, I was like, is he fucking crazy? He is crazy. But look, it worked. And I feel like it's some Sun Tzu shit, because it's always like the least expected thing is going to happen to you through Spags. At the worst, most opportune time, you're going to get fucked. And it's like, but you wouldn't if you just kept your rules. Like we always try to do in the O-line room. We always try to live by the rules. And I was actually telling the guys this the other day because we were working on sorting compared to dueling. And they're like, why wouldn't I just do this? And I was like, because that's a duel and we're sorting. We're not dueling. We're sorting this out. And so they're like, well, I just don't understand. I'm like, it's rules. Rules are what sorting and dueling do. If you don't stick to the rules, what the fuck are we doing? It's like in the moment when Josh would have been like, hey, kill this, I would have looked back like, what are we doing? This is gone. There's 3 guys over there and there's 4 receivers. Slide to the right. What are we doing? But in that moment, they're just like, we just got to beat him. We just got to beat Patrick. And the Chiefs are like, hey, are you guys ready to go? Are you guys ready to go in 2 weeks to New Orleans? All right, watch this. We're about to do some crazy shit. They're playing a whole nother game. You're playing checkers while they're playing chess. Like, they're just like, dude, I'm sorry. What do you want us to do?
Well, to your point about checkers chess, maybe this is oversimplifying and maybe this is disrespecting the Eagles, but smart football people, and you guys too, kind of make it sound like what the Eagles are doing, offense and defense, isn't super complicated. They just they're talented. They're going to rush 4 on defense.
Talented.
Yeah, but they're playing like really high level checkers, right? We're just awesome at checkers, and we have the best checkers pieces because we have Saquon Barkley as one of them. And these defensive linemen. Yeah.
Well, the joke goes that they're playing chess while we're playing checkers because they're thinking too much and we're just making it simple, right? And that's exactly what Philly tries to do. Let's keep this simple. Like Jay said, hey, they're in a 6-man box. Let's just run it. Anything heavier than that, let's throw it, right? Like, and everybody knows the kills. Everybody knows what we're doing. The problem is, can you do it on the biggest stage, in the biggest moment, while Spags is throwing something in your face? And that's the hardest thing, right? You look up and you see 7 up and you're trying, this is the Spags game. You're like, I think he's coming, and I think he's coming. Whereas opposed to, let's just play football, right? Like, that's how you just start playing checkers again. Let's just go out and keep our rules. Here's our Mike. This is our Ricky. It starts here. He's not ours. Let's go. White Tansic, go. Like, the more you start thinking, the more you're like, oh, my God, I'm going to be entrenched by it and paralyzed by it, and I can't see it, and then all of a sudden you're going to guess wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, hey, I'm going to set this B gap hard as fuck. Whoever comes here is going to get the wrath.
I'm willing to say right now, whoever wins the most on first down this week is going to win the game. right? Because if you can get in front of the sticks on both of these defenses, right? So if you can get, hey, Saquon's in looking at 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 3 where you can hand it or run it, right? Spags has to be really careful what he dials up. Flip side, you get Mahomes into 2nd and 2 and 3. It's hard to just pin Jalen Carter and Davis and, all those pass rushers just to pin their ears back and go. Staying on schedule in this game for both offenses is going to be so important, right? Because both these defenses feast in 3rd and long, right? And it's totally different philosophies, right? Fangio is build the umbrella, right? Nothing behind the umbrella. You 4 werewolves up front. Go get them, boys, right? Versus Spags is I'm coming 100 different ways, and there's going to be shots down the field possibly, but we don't know if you can get there, right? Everything's got to be on schedule if you want to sustain drives. One negative play, you might as well punt. Like, I'm dead serious. You get into 2nd and 12, 3rd and 10, like, you might as well punt because these teams are so freaking good at getting teams off the field when you pin them behind the sticks.
Yeah. I feel like we should make our official predictions right here, right now. Even before we usually put them on Instagram.
About time.
It's the Super Bowl. Well, the problem is, like, because people ask, why don't you guys do your weekly picks anymore on the podcast? Well, we record the podcast Monday morning.
Yeah.
And then we do film stuff usually like Tuesday morning.
Yeah, we don't got injury reports, none of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
it's the Super Bowl, everybody's playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know at this point. So we've been putting them out on Instagram, and we will. But straight up,
there's some. Is this for the win? You and Boone?
let me pull up the.
I think you guys are tied, aren't you?
If we make this game, last year we made this game like.
I think
4
we made
points,
it worth 4 points, didn't we?
just to create some more drama. Let me pull this up here. So
Boone's probably just going to pick the same one as you, so he can't lose.
we had going into last week. Booney had 49 wins. I had 45. Jay 44. Last week we all picked the Bills, so that's an L.
Yeah.
I had the Eagles beating the Commanders.
Yeah, we took the L on that one.
So I got to 46 wins. I'm 3 behind Boone. If we make it 4 points like we did last year, and then Boone's gonna have to pick first, so I'll just pick the other team.
Boone has to pick first then.
All right.
Yeah, we'll go in order here for what it matters. Boone's first. I'll go pick last because I
have to pick right now. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
That's right, dude.
Right now.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
6 a.m. on Monday morning of Super Bowl week. Put your nuts on the table.
All right.
Do it.
Do it.
You coward.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. Listen.
Ultimate power.
He's gonna do it.
I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot at times, and at times I'm trying to will things. And I know not to bet against him because he's going to hurt me, but I'm too much in love with Saquon. I do. I love Saquon so much, and I love what he brings to this team. I think having Cam and Landon back, I think we're ready to go. I think Jalen Carter's going to feast. And honestly, and my mic's going to be the run game for KC. I don't think they're going to have one. So I think it's going to make super one-dimensional against one of the best defenses that doesn't have to blitz. I'm doing it, man. Philly. Let's go Philly. Let's go Philly. Let's go, baby. That's right.
He's trying to will. He's trying to will that read option, high-powered running attack that couldn't quite get it done.
28-24.
Okay. We can put the official scores on here. 20-24.
All right.
Boone Eagles. Okay, Jay. Well, I mean, no, the drama is with you. I mean, even though you can't win, I'll pick the Chiefs so that I can A, win the picks. But B, if the motivation, not that whoever wins is the most motivated team, it's more complicated than that. But if they win, they have the strongest case in the Super Bowl era to be the greatest NFL team since the Packers won 3 championships in a row. The last year, the year before the Super Bowl, they won the NFL championship, and then they won the first 2 Super Bowls. No one's ever won 3 Super Bowls, and so you've been grinding this thing out, close games the entire way for 4.5 months to get to this point, and you've got maybe the greatest head coach in the history of the league, or one of the top 3, Andy Reid. You got Spags, one of the great defensive coordinators. You got the quarterback. You got the greatest tight end.
But you're playing a dysfunctional team that loves dysfunction. And what better place than New Orleans, baby? You're on Bourbon Street. It's about to be crazy.
That's the thing about the Eagles, man. The Eagles
into their ego.
The Eagles just like the Nick Foles Super Bowl win that you talked about earlier. They just pop up with these monster runs. The last 20 years, they just like different
Plus,
iterations.
Them getting another chance at KC from the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I think this is where they're like, all right, we saw it once. We're not about to see it again. Let's go.
I'm going to go 24. I'm going to go 24-23. I'm going to say that the Eagles are leading late in this game, and Patrick Mahomes does Patrick Mahomes things.
Mahomie things.
Mahomie things.
Come on, Jay. Who do you see hoisting that trophy? Green or red?
I mean, I'm trying to not vote with my heart here because my heart says green, but my brain thinks, why would I do that? He hurts me every year. Every year, 15 just rips my heart out and stomps on it, and my Buffalo Bills and all of my boys. So I got to do it. I'm going with Mahomes. I think that Kansas City gets the three-peat. I think they hoist that trophy. I think it's probably the last time we see Travis Kelce on a football field, right? I think that there's a lot of things that go in here. That team is going to be drastically different next year. Trey Smith is going to be leaving. I mean, there's a lot of people that are going to be up for contracts soon that are going to go. But I think that Trey Smith and Joe Thuney are the ones that are going to handle Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and all those dudes in the middle that are just absolute wrecking balls of defensive linemen in there. Keep Mahomes upright. And, with Hollywood Brown coming back, that's a huge, huge receiver opening up for them. Juju Smith's going to be healthy, right? You've got all these guys that are back and starting to get more comfortable. D-Hop, right? So many weapons on that team, and you've got the best quarterback in the world throwing them the football. So if they play in rhythm like they did against the Bills and they get the ball out of their hand quickly like they did against the Bills, I cannot root against. I can't vote against Mahomes. I just can't do it.
Give us a score.
31-28.
Ooh, a little bit of a.
I think Harrison Butker hits a game winner.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Harrison Butker from the kitchen, game winner.
Bold.
From the kitchen.
From the kitchen.
As long as it's not Justin Tucker from the massage therapist.
Massage Envy.
Yeah.
Not a lot in there anymore.
There's about 6 of them he's not allowed in, according to
Apparently there's 10
the
of
latest
them.
reports.
The number keeps going up.
Once the first one comes out, you're like, well, the floodgates are open.
To be fair, the owner said he had no idea. So I'm just saying that.
So there you go,
Notice
boys.
how they all just came out once he started missing kicks? No one cared when he was banging them through.
This guy's only made 71% of his field
missed
goals.
a few kicks in Baltimore.
Oh,
Turn on you real fast.
Yeah, they will.
So those are the official picks. Yeah, let us know in the YouTube comment section. Who do you got? Who's winning? And what's the final score? And if you haven't already, click that like button and the subscribe button here on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel. We'll have some dumb football questions coming your way too on the podcast feed. So keep a lookout.